Armin then asks if he did this just to set them up as heroes and to save all of humanity. Eren replies with, "That's right." I copy this verbatim. "That's right. All remaining people in the world now owe you a tremendous debt. The world will hold you in the highest regard. At least that's my plan." Now, this is where I think a lot of people would get lost, because this isn't what he was trying to do, right? This wasn't his motivation. That wasn't it at all. This whole time since the time skip, we've been pretty sure his motivation was to stop this cycle of hatred by eliminating all of the threats outside of the walls. That's been his deal for a really long time. And just to further elaborate on that, like, look at this. "Not everyone outside the island is our enemy. Just like your mother. Most of them would suddenly be killed without ever understanding why. I know. But the only way to put an end to the cycle of revenge born from hate is to bury that history and the civilization that created it deep in the ground." Literally his own words. So this goes against that completely, because now he's saying that this is the only way to set them up, right? One of his biggest motivations just got denied right there. One of his biggest ones, right? Because when Eren started the story and his mother died and he swore vengeance on these titans, he said, "I just want to kill all the titans." And that was his big thing for a long time. You know, being born in this world, I want to destroy all the titans. And that was his motive for a long time, until he found out what was in the basement. And he decided that, oh, these things are just victims all the same. If I wanted to stop something, it doesn't really make sense to go after the disease. You don't try and cure the symptoms, you cure the disease, right? So the disease would obviously be all these people on the other side of the ocean who were sending waves of titans at them using scorched earth tactics in order to bleed them out. That makes perfect sense, right? So his idea would be that if you were to remove everyone doing all that shit, they could just live happily. Now, does that equate in genocide? Yes. Am I okay with that? Only a little bit, and for like a certain reason. I don't really care about an ending involving genocide or not. What I care about is Eren's character remaining intact. What I cared about was his motivations remaining true to him, and for him to not really just become a hypocrite. That was kind of what I was really wanting from him. Basically, if Eren grew up and because of all the shit that happened to him, he turned into this like bad person that wanted to just fucking kill the whole world. That's understandable, right? Because we saw him grow up into this person. We saw all the choices build up on top of each other, which led to him becoming this like cold individual who might make that choice, right? Whether it's good or not, that doesn't even matter. It's just him as a person having his own agenda and then following it. But instead, that was all just a persona. I'll cover that more in a little bit. So Eren confirms that 80% of the world is rumbled. That's pretty brutal. But can you see the problem here? So 80% of the world's dead to the rumbling, which obviously means that the remaining 20% of the world still exists, plus paradise. That means that there's still people alive to let the cycle recontinue. Like, the whole point of going to lengths to kill everyone is to wipe out any chance that someone would just restart this war off of revenge. And only killing out 80% of the world leaves out the possibility that that would happen again. You could almost say this is the worst way you could do it, because these measures are really bad and will be fruitless unless you go all the way. If you want to be like, we'll just kill them out, they can't hate us if they're dead, then make sure they're all dead. Because if you don't, like, people have gone to war over way less. If you think that these remaining people, even if they're not in a state where they could right away retaliate, even if it's not in this generation, we've seen cyclical and like institutionalized hatred in characters in general, right? The way that the Marleyans treated the Eldians and the way that they were forced to treat their kids about themselves, all this like propaganda and shit. Yeah, there's all these people left, and so if there's people left over who remembered what happened, they will tell their kids, hey, there was this one guy from this one place and he killed the whole world. His people live on this island. Why don't we just go wipe him out in the name of our ancestors? People do that shit and have been doing that shit for years and years and years. Like, that's humanity in a nutshell. Like, everyone just hates for no reason, and then they carry it on for their ancestors. So like, it's really implausible that an 80% rumbling is anything other than the worst outcome, because he went to extreme lengths to kill but didn't kill enough. He's left with a shit ton of extra dead people and enough people left over to continue the cycle, right? So he didn't even accomplish his goal. He just murdered a lot of people. Pointless murder, it becomes pointless now that the cycle is enabled again, or the cycle has the ability to be enabled again, that makes the whole thing pointless. Because you could have just gone a different way about it. You could have just had your people killed off. You could have gone with Zeke's plan, but you didn't. Like, his goal was to save his boys, and sure, he put them in a better place of power afterwards, like in a good place to get set up, but you're setting up the overlying theme of cyclical hatred is still there and glaring at you, and it won't go away. I think that's like really kind of gross. Eren's entire motivation for doing this changed instantly, and then his goal just died in front of him.